I left the trail and I just started to follow the water as it was winding through the forest. This was actually a lot of fun. And then it reached a point where the topography wouldn't actually let me go any further unless I crossed this creek, this water. The way the cliff was coming down, I had to cross. Well, it wasn't that far, but it was too much to jump. And it wasn't that deep either, but it was enough that it was, gonna get up to you, and it was freezing water. So I didn't want to do that. Fortunately, there were some rocks, like some big giant rocks. One and then another, almost as if they were meant for me to step across, like they were put there for me. This is great. But they were moss covered, they looked kind of slimy. And I remember I was about to kind of like do a little hop to the first one, and I couldn't do it. I was taken over by this fear that I was gonna slip, or that I was gonna end up in the water, that I was gonna strain myself, hurt myself, that something was gonna happen. And I thought this was ridiculous, because if you actually saw what I was looking at that day, it wasn't very far. But something was in me that made me feel scared to take that step, to jump. And I remember just being in that moment. I spent 7 or so minutes like kind of pussyfooting around, building up the courage to get across. I finally did it. But it didn't, the experience didn't go away for the rest of that day. And since then, it has really changed the way I've been looking at fear and my own fears and why I have them and how powerful they are or aren't and what I can do about them. I remember in that moment thinking, when I was a kid, when I was 6 and 7 years old, I would have never taken 7 minutes to cross that creek. I would have done it in the first instant that I had the desire to move. What happened to me from when I was that little kid to where I was as an adult man, and I was scared of a little bit of water? Like this, I couldn't get this out of my brain. And so I've been really investigating that and exploring my relationship with fear. Fear has a real PR problem. I mean, it has a terrible image problem. Everybody labels fear as the bad guy. Fear is dangerous and fear is evil. You should avoid it. You should run from it. Hide away from fear. I disagree. I think fear is awesome. I think fear is fun. It is exciting. It is passionate. Fear is your friend if you accept it that way. Or fear is your foe if you accept it that way. That moment with me on the rocks, I was viewing fear as a foe. And it paralyzed me. It literally stopped me from moving forward with what it was I needed to be doing. But the younger me didn't used to do that. So I knew that there was part of me that could get through this. And I want to tap into that more. I want to release some of these layers that I think have been put upon all of us as we get older. I want to remove those and tap back into that part of me that doesn't see fear as a bad thing, but actually embraces fear, looks at it as an adventure.